Tuesday with my guy Johnny Brock, coming to you live every single Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Man, we're talking about momentum today, the importance of momentum, how momentum plays a key factor of creating success in your life, and why most people don't create success because they don't keep the momentum rolling. I've seen it so many times, and I'm sure you have as well, Johnny. Some people they start to win, and then they don't continue to keep repeating those successful actions. Like they win a lot. Like they've won more than they've ever won in their life. So that success kind of immobilizes them to a degree, right? I've heard that success can be as it could be as dramatizing as failure, right? Because sometimes people get put down with failure, but sometimes people, when they get a lot of success and they've never had that type of success before, they it gets above their head, right? And we see it all the time. And like, man, people just, they don't continue to repeat those successful actions. They don't continue to keep their foot on the momentum, and ultimately they get above themselves when they start getting success. So man, what we're talking about momentum today. Man, I'll let you take the floor here, brother.
Yeah, man. So, momentum is what me and Ryan decided to talk about on this one because it's extremely important to keep the momentum going, right? Because the more that you build, it just kind of catapults your next chapter, or next venture, what you're doing. I've got a couple of examples, right? So, I've got friends that have been in the car sales business, right? And they're making $2,000 or $3,000 a month working at a factory, and then somebody recruits them into selling cars, and they might have a good month. They might make $10,000 or something, and then, normally $10,000 would last them 3 or so months. So they don't care anymore. They don't hustle like they were that month that they made $10,000. But the key is to just continue doing all that, because what happens is you're gonna have months where you're unable to be as productive as you were the prior month. So that momentum and continuing and staying the course is very important to accomplishing the entire picture, right? But the main thing is that if you stop and chill and relax and say, it's all good, I'm good right now, I'm good, I can relax, it's doing nothing but rendering you from a productive day or week or month later down the road. So continuing the momentum, is extremely vital to your success. And another one, we right now we're iced out, right? So we got people that we can't tell people to come to work and then they drive on roads, and right, it's just dangerous, right? And nobody's going to come out. Nobody's going to come to the damn office whenever there's ice, like inches of ice on the road. It's just not going to happen. It's better to just close the office down and go virtual. So we went virtual for 3 or 4 days this week. And what a lot of people will do, and we know this will happen, is they'll relax, right? They'll say, oh yeah, okay, cool, I get to just chill. But if you take the opportunity and just take the bull by the horns, right? Take the bull by the horns and continue the momentum. You won't have to worry about next week, you being behind next week or the following week. When you stop and relax and don't continue the momentum, it does nothing except for render you later down the road. So you got to stay the course, man. You got to stay the course. That's ultimately what we're talking about today, is keeping the momentum, staying the course, and not letting yourself, not letting your inner desires get the best of you, because that's ultimately what it is. It's just people's inner desires.
Yeah, man. 2 quotes coming at the top of my head right now as we're talking about momentum here. One of the quotes is, having money is the biggest dream killer, right?
Yeah.
It stems back to what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes, it even happened to me when because literally I grew up in like a middle-class family. We were mom clipping coupons, turning off the electricity, barely running heat, and I was grown up in that scarcity mindset or limitation mindset, that was programmed into me. So when I started to create success, I started to create money. And then I'm like, holy crap, like 1 or 2 things, you start to build momentum and you start to win at a level that you've never won before, you're either going to continue to keep that momentum going and continue to keep creating those successes, or on the adverse negative side of things, like you're going to let that success get like you said, get ahead of you, and it's going to ultimately demoralize you, and it's going to set you back because you're going to be like, oh, I have enough money, or I've won enough, so I can take a break, so I can take some weeks off, I can take a month off. And that's the last thing that you want to do, right? So having some money is the biggest dream killer. That's one of the quotes that came to the top of my head, because once people start to get some type of money, and it's money that they've never seen before, they start to let their foot off the pedal instead of just like cranking on that pedal and always knowing that success begets more success. The more that you win and the more that you succeed, the more that success is going to continue to flow to you. So it's like, man, you just open up that flow. You just open up the river of success to flow to you. Why stop that flow? Why block the flow? So that's the first quote. And then the second quote is everything that you have, it can easily go away. This is like a success, quote that I've always kept in mind, is like, everything that you've achieved, everything that you've gained, it can easily go away. Obviously, like, you can have real estate investments that continually give you passive income drips, et cetera, et cetera. However, like, just operating with a little sense of like paranoia, right? The highly successful, they're always operating with a little bit of a paranoid sense of like, man, like I gotta keep going, like I can't stop, right? Always never satisfied, always knowing that they can reach higher levels of success and achievement, right? So, man, just two little quotes that I thought of that I hope will help the audience and they find some value out of. The biggest dream killer is having some money, and everything that you have can easily go away. So this ties right into like, man, just keep the momentum rolling. And ultimately, like, this also ties into like, man, you got to surround yourself with other people who are doing that exact thing, keeping the momentum rolling. Because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are satisfied with $100,000 a year, which, like, I'm not invalidating that that's bad, but if you're trying to do big things in life, then you can't surround yourself with people that are satisfied with 100,000 a year, or 1,000 a week, or 2,000 a week, and expect yourself to continue that momentum flow, because you're going to get around those people. If you're in that environment as well, then you're going to be like, oh, I'm doing so well. And that's another thing. So many people, they create success, and then next thing you know, they're in an environment that they've outgrown, and they feel like they're that top dog, right? So another third quote that comes to the top of my head is, you never want to be the biggest fish in a small pond.
Right. Yeah, because you're gonna. You just said it. You are your surroundings. What a cliche thing to say, right? That's what you're saying, is you are your surroundings, right? And also, what you're saying is, if you're the biggest fish in a small pond, what happens is, let's say that you're making, $250,000 a year, and you surround yourself with people that are making $150,000. Your mindset is never gonna be reaching for more, because what are you going to be reaching for? You don't have the people around you that you can adjust to and kind of copy what they're doing. So ultimately, you're nailing it on the head there. What I'll say is, you should have a goal, right? As a person who strives to be successful, you should have a goal. And once you hit that goal, if you want to let off the brakes, let off the gas. I think the majority of people won't. I think that once let's say that you've got a goal, you want to hit 50 million, right? You want to exit for 50 million, right? You want to build a business, exit for 50 million, and then ride off into the sunset. Because let's be honest, you don't need any more money than that. Well, I don't care what anybody says. You don't. If you have $50 million or $40 million, you can spend $50,000 a week for the rest of your life and never draw off the principal. You don't need any more money than that. Okay. Now, if you want more money than that, that's fine, right? But the point is, you should have a goal that you're reaching for, and you shouldn't let off the gas until you've reached that goal. Mm-hmm. And the goal should be extremely big, right? And then what'll happen is, one day you'll hit a point where, you as an individual, you may be, ready to let off the gas, pump the brakes a little bit, and relax. I'm seeing it in people, close to me now, where they're getting to the point where They've got more money than they know what to do with, more money than they ever thought they would. And they got families, and they want to, they don't want to. Here's the thing, right, Ryan? You don't have a family. I don't have a family, right? There's a difference, right? You have a family, and you're working all these hours, and you're telling your spouse, like, one day it's going to pay off, one day it's going to pay off. And then eventually you've got more money than you know what to do with. It's not going to stop coming in. The business is not going to stop growing. Like, what are you going to do? Continue to tell your wife that, you're going to keep going, working 60, 70 hours a week? Like, it doesn't fare well with the spouse, right? So that is very, very key there in the momentum factor, right? How long can you continue the course? Having a family is gonna play a role in that. So people watching, if you have a family, this is going to be different for you than it is for me and Ryan. When one day we'll have one, but hopefully when that time comes, that person that we're with understands what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, and they're wanting to do it with us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it's very important to just stay the course, set a goal for yourself, and don't slow down. Don't let off the gas until you hit that goal.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where
And that's a I want to touch on that point of like goals and targets, because that's really like what's going to be one of the biggest determining factors of whether you keep the momentum rolling or not is your goals and targets continually, whether it's maybe you're not writing them down every single day. I recommend to write them down every single day. But when you reach goals and targets, what you want to do is just immediately reset it and set a higher goal and target, because that's what's going to keep the momentum rolling. And then also tying those goals and targets to bigger purposes and bigger reasons as to why you're doing what you're doing, why you're in existence, and why you're actually looking to achieve X amount of success, right? So that's what's going to really keep the momentum rolling. Surroundings, being around the right environment, surrounding yourself with the right people. Also for me, man, it's like the reason I keep my momentum going, not sure what these fireworks are going on here.
That's dope though, man.
Not sure, the reason I keep momentum going for myself is because I'm continually listening to these multi-millionaires, even like billionaires, Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone, Brad Lee, Ed Milet, all these big time people, Alex Hormozy. And that's what helps me keep my momentum going. And also, seeing like what type of impact that I want to make. Right. And it's different for everyone. Like you said, Johnny, like some people watching this, they might have a family, right? It's different for them than it is for a serial entrepreneur or a single entrepreneur business owner that's looking to grow their business. Like everything's different, but there's a point in your life where, it's either going to be like, hey, this is going to take 20 years to get to where I want to be, or it could take 10 years. And one of the biggest determining factors is just keeping the momentum rolling, staying consistent, being disciplined, and having that momentum, keeping it rolling, because that's when the most success is going to flow in, right? Like the little analogy I said earlier, like once you start receiving success, that river, that flow starts to open up. So more success can start to come in and more success can continue to flow into you. And that's really what momentum's all about. It's like, man, just continually, chopping the tree, right? Chop after chop after chop. And then next thing you know, like, man, you got so much momentum that you're not just making little indents, you're making huge indents into that tree. And next thing you know, you're chopping down all these trees, you're hitting all these goals and targets, you're winning at such a high level. And that's going to just boost your self-esteem. It's going to boost your confidence, your certainty. Next thing you know, like you're just loving life, right? So, man, momentum it's such a key determining factor to creating success. 100%.
I agree 1,000%. I think a good example of it, so let me say this, not everybody's, sometimes it's just as simple as showing up, right? We're not saying that you got to be a million miles an hour all the time. Like, I can assure you there are things that Ryan and I do that, relax us and hang out. Ryan's going to take a cold plunge. I'm going to watch a movie, right? They're two different things, right? That's just what we're not always working. We're not always, dialing and recruiting and doing all this, work stuff that you see. So it just sometimes it's as simple as showing up. That's why I hate the holiday season. We talked about that. I'm not big on the holidays because what happens is you got Christmas, you're probably going to get a 4-day weekend. Then New Year's, you're going to get 3 or 4 day weekend. So they're in a 2-week span. Everybody's off work for a total of 7 or 8 days. It just becomes a momentum killer. So that sometimes it's as simple as, instead of taking all those days off, showing up. Even if you go to work and put some work in for 2 hours, 3 hours, you don't have to put a full day's work in. But just continuing the momentum in some aspect. And then like fitness, right? Like staying fit, staying in the gym. Sometimes you're not going to feel like going to the gym, but stay the course and just show up and go to the gym. Just go and relax. Like I've really, really taken a dive on going to the gym. I was in the gym every day. I was doing my thing. Then I hit my goal weight. Stupid, right? Stop going to the gym. So now I'm slacked off and now I'm not there anymore. So I got to get back in the gym. It's those days that, because like you said it on a video the other day, 1 day turns into 2 days, and then 2 days turns into 4 days. And it's like it's compounds. It's just, a continuous cycle of, you're just spiraling out of control when you start, letting yourself, like, if let's say that you're somebody who does not eat bad food, right? You ate a lot of donuts and pizza and crap, for a long time, and then you stopped, right? As soon as you pick up that food again, it's going to spiral out of control, right? And that's just what happens. But that's exactly what, we're talking about, is just killing momentum. And how do you kill momentum? You kill it by, stopping your day-to-day actions that you're doing to get your targets and evidently get to the overall goal, right? So for me, I've got a goal in mind. My goal is to hit a certain amount of money, and then I want to utilize all of that to continue to invest in real estate. And at that point, I want to, do whatever the hell I want to do, right?
How much money are we talking about, Johnny?
For me, it's 25 million.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, because the thing is, if you have $25 million in the bank, you can utilize that money for your investments, and you never really even have to draw off of the principal. So like, let's say that you're getting 5% on your money. That's 1.25 million a year. You don't ever need to draw off that 25, and you can live like extremely comfortably. I mean, if you do the math, that's $25,000 a week, almost $25,000 a week that you can spend doing whatever the hell you want to do, right? So I mean, this idea that you got to get to 50 and 100, it's just to me, I may end up, because of my family, I may end up surpassing that, right? Because I'm a part of a great family that probably will end up making more than that. But for me personally, in my bank account, it's 25 million. So 25 million, and once I hit that, then it's just going to be doing whatever the hell I want to do, and investing in as much properties that I can, and somehow helping people. But, I get sick and tired of all these influencers, man. Like I just get sick and tired of them, dude. They're always talking about, different stuff, and, they're trying to sell their courses, and they're doing all this and they're doing all that. And sometimes I'm just like, shut the hell up. Like, God almighty, y'all are always just kind of, I don't know. I feel like they're just, okay. I'll make a point here. Influencers, like, let's say, like, there's Eric Spofford, for example. The dude's phenomenal, right? And he sold his sober living business for over $100 million. What's the point? Like, you got $100 million in the bank, and you're doing all this other stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't resonate with it, right? Because it's like, for me, it's like, dude,
are you saying, like, why does he keep going? Like, why does he keep
for
moving?
him? I get it. I get why. No, I don't need to know why. It's just like, it doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
So I get that there's other people out there who it's not going to resonate with as well, right? And I don't want people to think that I'm trying to be that. I'm not. I am trying to be myself, and that's it. So what I'm getting at is, I just think that everybody gets kind of sick and tired of seeing all these people, talk about what they're doing and this and that. And ultimately what they're doing, Ryan, is they're trying to get you to come in and spend a shitload of money on the stuff that a lot of times doesn't even deliver any value. That's what a lot of them are doing, right? I mean, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars over time investing with, whoever it may be. And, if it keeps you going, that's fine. But a lot of times the best place to put your money is back into your business. And a lot of these people are not putting their money back into their business because they're putting it into, some influencer online who's garnished a lot of their attention. Like, that's what you should do. If you have a business that's making money and you go and spend $150,000, $200,000 to go and, learn from somebody that's not even doing what you're doing, you need to put that money back into your business. You don't need to give it to an influencer, and I've got off track here, right? We've gotten off track.
Yeah.
But the point is, at a certain point, my point is at a certain point, you get so much money. Like, what's your goal? Are you a narcissist? Like, do you just want everybody to, like, me? Like, is there something wrong with your, like, is it an ego thing? Like, what's going on? Like, I'll be honest with you, Ryan. If I had $25 million in the bank, I would ride off into the sunset and you guys wouldn't hear from me anymore. That's it. That's what would happen. I'd have friends that I hang out with and stuff, but I'm not gonna do all this stuff. But my goals and my aspirations are mine. They're not anybody else's, and I don't care, if anybody sees those. Right? They're for me. And they're for my future family. Right? But if I will hit my goals, and then I'm telling you, there will come a time when you don't see me anymore, and it's just because there's no point in it to me. Like, you just hit a certain point, and that's kind of the reason we're talking about this, is because, we're talking about momentum, and we're wanting to keep our momentum going. But once you hit a certain point, there is no point to, like, continuing on. And I get, like, if that's who you are, that's who you are. All I'm telling people to be is who they are, right? And I think that's who you are. I think you'll always be striving for more, always be doing stuff, always be putting yourself out there. But I'm telling you, once there's a lot of people that will resonate with me. There's a lot of people that will resonate with you, right?
Yep.
Two different. This is why it's a good thing for me and you to be on the show together, because I can't wait to hear your point of view on how I feel about this. But once you get to a certain point, I just feel like it becomes more of an egotistical issue than it does actually trying to help people and provide them value, right? You got so much money in the bank and you want all these eyes on you, and you're just using this money to put all these people, because let's be honest, if you got money, you can get hundreds of thousands of followers, and you can have people, you can do it. All it does is take money. You just spend money to make yourself, you got all these cars and stuff you're showing off, right? Helicopters and whatnot, private planes, and it's just all like, it's just gets to the point where it's just like, what the hell are we striving for anymore, dude? You got $100 million in the bank. Like, go help some people and, do some stuff that's beneficial for the world.
Yeah. I mean, my take on that is that, and it's definitely valid, Johnny, what you're saying. Everyone's playing a different game, right? Everyone's playing a different game in life. And sometimes that game is, like you said, 25 million. Sometimes the game is $100 million or $1 billion, whatever the game might be. Sometimes people reach the end point of the game. They reach the reward of the game, and then, hey, they can, kind of slow down. They can kind of kick back. And that's how, it really, honestly, me, as I'm going to continue going. Like, I'm not going to stop. There are some people that are going to, more than likely just kick back, and, like, that's perfectly okay. Everyone's different. Everyone's playing a different game, and everyone has a different viewpoint and perspective, right? But, I see what you're saying. Like, some people, there are some influencers, and it's kind of off topic, but there are some influencers that, they just really, are very egotistical about themselves. So not really, providing value. They're not really, looking to make a bigger impact to the world. They just want attention. They want to sell things, whatever it might be. Me, my bigger game is really impacting mankind, impacting the world, being able to donate, millions of dollars a month to a church, to a foundation, a charity, to communities that I want to help out and build. Like, that's where I'm really passionate about. That's my game, right? And that's why, I'm striving for such high levels of success, so I can, like, give back as much as I want, because I know that, man, people need help out there. People in the world, in this universe, they need extreme amounts of help, right? So there's people that fit that realm that just have that constant momentum. And they just keep going. And some people are purpose focused. Some people are just, they're just full of themselves. right? As you're saying, some people are just full of themselves.
I think
So,
so, yeah.
and it's really when it comes down to it, picking the right people to listen to, picking the right people to gain value from, and making sure that they're ethical individuals as well themselves, is a very big thing. I mean, I try, I strive to surround myself with very ethical individuals that are purpose focused. They're very intentional with what they're doing. They want to make a change to not just themselves, but also other people. That's who I really resonate with. Some people resonate with people who are just, they want to build a family, they want to support their family. That's it. And that's perfectly fine, right? But as a point of like momentum, what we're talking about, like, dude, just keep that momentum rolling until like you get to that end completion of the game. But my opinion is that the game never stops. I'm going to continue to create games. I'm going to continue to create new reasons to keep showing up. And that's why some people maintain the momentum. Let's just talk about how to maintain that momentum. Is like, man, just keep creating new reasons to keep showing up until you don't have to show up anymore. Like you said, John, you're going to ride out to the sunset, and most people aren't going to hear from you, which is fine. But how do we get to that point of riding out to the sunset? How do we get to that point of indestructible wealth, true financial freedom? Like, you got to continue to create new reasons to keep showing up, right? Continue to create new goals, keep resetting your goals, setting higher goals, reading books, listening to audiobooks. And this is my version of it: reading books, listening to audiobooks, going to conferences, right? Listening to highly successful people, surrounding yourself with the right people, being in the right environment, right? That's what keeps me showing up, because, man, so many people just have a hard time with the first step, which is it's almost the most simple, but the most simple things are sometimes the most hardest things. And that's what you talked about earlier, is just showing up, right? The momentum can start just by showing up, but some people even have that tough time of putting both their feet forward and actually just showing up to make the call, showing up to go to the gym, showing up to, read a book, whatever it might be. Some people have that tough time of even just showing up, right? So it's like, man, how do people really keep that momentum going? That's what you really have to tap into as an entrepreneur, as a singlepreneur, as a business owner. Maybe even you're a W-2 person, because there's some time when you're a W-2 person and, like, dude, like, you don't want to go to work, but you got to find reason to actually want to do what you're doing, right? That's how you're going to find the momentum. Like, you need to have such high affinity and such high affection towards what you're doing that you're going to want to continue to show up. You're going to want to continue to build the momentum, right? And that's, tapping into a whole, in my belief, it's a very spiritual level of beingness, of like, it's a very spiritual level of like being able to just show up day in and day out, whether you're winning or not, being able to keep the momentum rolling, whether you're winning or not, and being able to just maintain a positive attitude, whether you're winning or not. Like that it's a deep spiritual, like, effect right there. Like, you can't do that if you're not like tapped into like something spiritual, whether it's someone that you believe above, whether it's the source that you believe in, whatever it might be. Like, for me, it's like, man, you got to tap into like the inner depths of yourself as a being, as a spiritual person. And that's what's really going to have you showing up every single day, being, continuing to build that momentum, being disciplined, being consistent, right? But what are some of the killers of momentum? Some of the killers of momentum, as we talked about earlier, like having some money, not resetting your goals and targets, not even having goals and targets, not being clear on where you're going, what you're looking to achieve, who you're looking to help, right? Those are some of the killers of momentum. Being around small-minded individuals that pull you down and hold you back, that's a killer of momentum. Being in the wrong environment that doesn't allow you to think bigger and grow into a bigger person, that's a killer of momentum, right? So it's really, man, it's such a deep topic, but many people just look at momentum as some cliche thing. Like, all these things like momentum, consistency, discipline, showing up, like, everyone just thinks it's very cliche. But these are like, it's the foundation of everything, right? It's like you're building a hotel, you're building a building, and you got to start with the foundation. You got to make sure the foundation is structurally built so you can actually grow upon it, right? Because it gets to a point where you have so much success, and then you maybe stop that momentum and you don't know where to put that money. You don't know where to invest that money. And next thing you know, all that money goes away because you didn't properly strategically plan how to actually kill the momentum off. Like there's going to come a point in time, as you're talking about, Johnny, where you can actually be like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to work anymore. I can ride off into the sunset. I feel financially free. But how do you really like cut everything off so you can actually truly do that and detach yourself from everything?
That's
Right?
just
You got to invest into the right vehicles and the right investments so you have money flowing in. Like you said, 25 million. As long as you're getting 5% on that money every single year,
you're
like
on cash.
you're good.
Yeah,
Right? Exactly.
you just have to over time. I would say that the majority of people, like for example, our LOA agents, over time they work at our office for a 20-year career. Just as an example, right? The normal person doing an LOA work job, they can make 200,000 a year, really pretty easy, after a few years, no problem. Um, those people should be putting their money into some pretty decent little every year. If I was an LOA agent, I am an LOA agent, right? And that's what my income is on, but I don't have any responsibilities. It's so much harder for somebody to do what I'm saying that's got a bunch of responsibilities. You got kids, you got a wife. It's more difficult, right? But what you should be doing is you should be strategically placing your money in places when you get a little bit here, and then also investing with the bank. The bank sees that you're making a certain amount of money. They're gonna let you they're gonna let you invest, right? That's what they want. They want you to use their money. So you utilize their money to buy this property over here. Somebody moves into that property and they're paying the mortgage for you. Perfect. That property's sitting there. It's an asset that's appreciating, right? So in 20 years, if you do that once a year or once every 2 years, and you've got 10 to 20 properties sitting there, in 20 years, you can either continue to take the income in, or you can let them all go, right? You got 10 to 20 properties sitting around, you're going to walk away with a few $1,000,000 easy, right? So, that's what I'm doing, right? So my goal is to continuously have more and more and more money in the bank, right? And just kind of save it and utilize the bank's money, but then have these people paying these mortgages off for me. I'd like to have, 50 to 100 properties, and I'd like to have each property bringing in, $1,000 to $1,500 a month. In a few, I'd say by 35, 40, probably about 40. So I'd like to have that goal that's in my head. I just think that everybody should have a goal in their head. So you talk about goals and targets. Everybody should have a goal in their head. And then the targets that they set for themselves should be your daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly targets that are getting you closer to that goal. Because at the end of the day, what's the difference between a target and a goal, right? I mean, targets are what you're aiming for, right? But the goal is the overall goal. That's how I view it, right? So if my overall goal is, 25 million, what do I have to do to make that happen? All right. I got to invest in properties. That's where I'm at, right? Invest in whatever it is, regular rental properties, sober living properties, whatever, placing your money with other people. But at some point you need to be able to exit and have your goal, right? So once you get to the point where you've got enough assets to exit and you got your whatever your goal was, there may come a day, Ryan, where I hit my goal, but I'm still like, look, I'm young, I'm 37, right? Whatever age I am. I just started a family. I actually want to continue to grow this thing to, double, triple, or quadruple. Like that's possible. But when you get around these people that have sold their businesses for hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Or, 50 million here and, 10 million here, 10 million there, right? Later down the road, which is what a lot of the people are doing that I'm talking to. There's no, money's not real. Like you get so much, like, there's, Ryan, in my opinion, and it's like I said, it's your passion is in helping people, right? That's what your passion is. You want to help people create financial freedom, right? You enjoy seeing someone go from, nothing to something, right? That's where and I enjoy that as well, right? And it's just, momentum is as simple as showing up, right? But at the end of the day, what we're talking about is it's goals and targets, right? How do you keep those goals and targets moving down the road? And it's showing up, continuing the momentum. And once you stop the momentum, I'll give you an example, right? So, and you can attest to this as well as anybody, right? a perfect example. You said people say momentum and discipline, all those are cliches. They're definitely not cliches, right? Momentum is in every single thing. I see momentum in all different facets of life. Well, the main one, right, is when I started in insurance sales, I had no momentum. I was stationary, but I picked up the phone and I started dialing. And I realized that every single dial that I made, I started picking up momentum. And then, once you stop those dials or whatever, just using that as an example, your momentum stops and it slows down, right? And you take a week off for vacation, you come back. Everybody knows it takes you 2 or 3 days to get back in the groove. That's because your momentum stopped. There's no cliche about it at all. Sorry, at all.
Yeah.
My throat.
Yeah, I mean, with the momentum, you're either going to have positive momentum that's moving in the right direction, you're going to have negative momentum that's moving you in the wrong direction. Even if you don't have momentum, you might not think that you have momentum, but you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. You're either having momentum that's moving you forward or momentum that's moving you backwards. So, man, there's so
It's moving you backwards if you're stationary.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
because it's compounding. I didn't say this earlier, but I thought about it while you were talking. You use the flow of the river as an example, right? So when you stop, you're compounding. Imagine if you keep going, right, and you stay the course. Just imagine if you didn't, right, and you had a bunch of stops in there, right? Your loss is compounding over time, right? So if it's a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you didn't stay the course the entire time or 98% of the time, and let's say you stopped, and so you only got 70% of what you out of 100% or 50% of what you could have, that means that you could have been twice as far down the road had you never stopped and just kept on rolling.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it's important to have a goal in your head, right? And then you have a goal in your head, you place targets there, right? So like for me, my targets are, it's simple: write as much business as I possibly can, write as much business as I possibly can, help the agents in our office write as much business as I possibly can. Anytime every 3 months, I'm looking to invest in another property. I'm trying to get one property going, get it cash flowing, and get another one going. And that does not take a lot of my time. It doesn't. Those are emails sent at night to the bank. Those are, I'm going to look at a property at lunch real quick, and then I'm getting back to the office and working. They do not take away from my overall goal, which is to write business. Because once you find a way to make money, there's no reason to stop that for some other pipe dream over here. You're making money. If you're over here, looking at a house and you're doing this, find times to do that when you're not. There's prime times to make money, and there's prime times to look at things that aren't making you money yet. And that's, a perfect example. Write business, right, for insurance agents. And when you have, some time on a Sunday, go look at that property, right? So that's my goals, right? My targets, and then my overall goal is to get to that certain amount. The way I'm going to get to that certain amount is investing my money properly over the years, right? I will have a significant amount of money in the bank, in 10 years, but in 10 years, if I can have a certain amount of properties, and a business, especially if it's a business operating those properties, boom, I'm ready to roll. I'm riding off. And I don't want, I want people to understand that the reason I'm saying that is because this is why I want to continue this show with Ryan, because Ryan's on this side of the spectrum where I don't think Ryan will ever stop. I think he'll be a billionaire. I think he'll continue to do that when he does reach so much money that it's crazy to him. Right. But, there's also people on my side too. There's people on his side. There's people on my side. I want to resonate with the people that resonate with me, and he wants to resonate with the people that resonate with him. We're not trying to resonate to the same person. There's no point in that. What's the point in us doing a show, right? You might as well just talk by yourself, right? So there's different viewpoints. He said it perfectly earlier. Everybody's playing the game of life differently. Mm-hmm. And the way I'm playing it is I've got a goal in my head, and I'm going to exit out one day, and I'm not going to go and get fat and, sit on my couch. Like, I'm going to do cool shit. with hopefully a beautiful wife and some kids one day. That's what I want to do. And if it's just me, fine. I'll be a bachelor and I'll be skydiving in the Mediterranean onto a yacht or some shit like that. Right. But, at the end of the day, you got to have goals and you cannot let the momentum, you got to carry the momentum. You got to stay the course. Because until you hit that goal, like let's say your goal is to hit a goal by the time you're 40 or 45. If you're stopping in the middle of that course and laying on the couch for 2 days and not doing anything, all you're doing is compounding the day that you could reach that goal, right? If I could reach that goal December 21st, 2033, well, if I continue to fuck off, well, then I'm going to hit, I'm going to postpone it December 21st, 2034, and then postpone it to 2035, and then postpone it to 2037. You're kicking the can down the road. Stay the course and aim for your goals, right? And it is important to set small targets along the way.
Yep. And I'll leave it off with this. And it goes exactly what you just mentioned, is that momentum, and I mentioned it earlier, momentum is either going to allow you to get to where you want to go in 10 years compared to getting to where you want to go in 20 years. Mm-hmm. Right. If you, because that momentum is also, reiterating what you said, Johnny, like that momentum, it continues to compound. Like momentum continues to compound. And next thing you get to a point, and this is how I felt, and I'm sure you felt the way, like next thing you know, you get to a point where working 8 hours, working 10 hours, keeping the momentum rolling is just a normal habitual thing. Like it doesn't feel arduous. It doesn't feel tough. It doesn't feel like a grind. It doesn't feel like difficult or uncomfortable anymore.
It feels weird not to do.
Yeah, it just feels weird not to do. Exactly. So if there's one thing you take away from this, as Johnny was saying, have goals and targets. Make sure that you continue to keep the momentum rolling, and always know that if you want to get to where you want to go quicker, you have to have momentum. It's either, if you don't have momentum, it's going to take 20 years. If you do have momentum, it's going to take 10 years. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Johnny, thank you for being on. And we will see you guys next week, Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Let's go.